What?
What?
What the hell is this?
Harumph. I didn't get a harumph out of that guy.
Give the governor harumph.
Harumph!
You watch your ass.
I see you shiver with anticipation.
Let the show begin.
Hey everybody, this is David Heretic coming at you with another edition of Reactions, Reviews, and Rants. And tonight, alright, we're going back to HAGANE. Yes, indeed. HAGANE Fans Feeling You. Come on now. Here we go. Before we go any further, for those of you who are feeling inclined to doing all of the clicks and the likes and the bibbity-bobbity bop, do me a favor, before you do all that stuff, please watch the whole video first, okay? Give me a chance to actually earn those clicks and likes. Now, after the video's done, still feel like doing all those clicks and likes, then by all means, feel free to click away. This comes as a request from Arthur Ogus, and this is actually Arthur's prioritized request for the month of November for being a silver tier member on the Patreon page. So, here you go, Arthur. Hope you enjoy the show. Arthur wanted to see me react to this. It is HAGANE with a tune entitled Kagome. Now, have I heard this song before? No, I have not. To the best of my knowledge, this does not resonate with me in any way, shape, or form. However, there's always a possibility I may have heard the song in passing and I just don't realize it. So as always, if I start listening to the song and I suddenly go, wait a second, this is sounding a little familiar, I'll let you know.
That's the truth.
You know me, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Let's see, this was posted by HAGANE, alright? And the video has 39,000 views. It'll get you there. Other than that, there's really nothing else left to say. Link to the original video will be down below in the video description for your viewing pleasure at your leisure. Let's get started. What do you say? Are you ready? Are you ready? Because here we go. Alright, here we go. HAGANE Kagome live music video. Does that mean it's an actual live performance and it's a continuous thing, or did they just take a bunch of live footage, edit it all together to create a music video? I'm not sure. I guess we'll find out. I'm pretty good at being able to identify those two. All right, let's do this.
All right, boy, let's do this.
100% live. Hear the background noise. Okay. I've seen and heard enough. I was wrong at the beginning. I was and I wasn't. So at the beginning, they were piping in live audience sound, and they absolutely were. Okay, that's unmistakable. You could hear the hiss of the amps. You could hear, you could hear, feet shuffling on the stage. You could hear, the crowd talking, ambient background noise. It was all live feed at the beginning, but the second the song kicked in, they pulled that live feed out slowly and replaced it with studio recording sound. So here's the thing. What we're seeing is live footage. Yes, absolutely. They are playing live to that crowd. Absolutely. I believe that wholeheartedly. The problem is what we're hearing is not live. It is studio recording. There is no longer any background noise. I don't hear feet shuffling anymore. Everything is extremely compressed and noise gated. What we are hearing now is studio recording over live footage. Okay. Like I said, I believe wholeheartedly that in the scenario, in the visual, they are performing live. They are probably performing this song live to the crowd, and the crowd is responding. Absolutely. Okay. But what we are hearing is a studio recording. And I can back that up. There have been a number of times where she has had the mic in front of her mouth and, she's doing the haze and the haze and the haze, but yet we don't hear her at all. It's not coming through in the mix, but she's obviously doing it to the crowd while the crowd is there. Add to that the addition of the backing vocals with the harmonies. Nobody's on a microphone. The guitar player isn't. The bass player isn't. And when they do get on the microphones, they're doing the haze. They're doing the gang vocals. They are not singing the backing vocals at all. So there's just too much evidence pointing to this being a professionally made and edited music video. Just like it says here, live music video. Okay? Not a live performance from an audio standpoint. It's a very common thing in music videos where people will, or not necessarily people, but bands will film themselves performing a song live. And that's what these beautiful things are for. The in-ears. They will be playing, you'll be getting the feed through your in-ears of a track, whether it be a scratch track or whether it be, just the actual song playing in your ears at the exact same tempo of the studio recording. Or it could just be a click. It could just be a metronome. It's very possible too. But it's going to feed you whatever it's going to feed you. You play along to it in a live setting. Okay. So that way the visual video footage will match up perfectly with the studio recording. It's a very common trick going all the way back to the 80s, of this. You didn't have these, but you would have wedges or side fills, pumping it through. It's a very common trick, guys. It's not new. It's not new at all. These have only come along in the last couple of decades, but and these are wonderful. These make things very, very simple when it comes to doing stuff like this. So unfortunately, what we're hearing is not live, which is really kind of a bummer. But it is still a song that I've never heard before, and I gotta say they're doing some pretty cool things. I do like the progression of the main riff, root to the flat 2 to the root to the flat 7 back to the root again. You're just kind of ping-ponging between one integer, between one full step, two semitones. You're starting at point zero. Your flat line, your root note, and you're moving a half step one way, and then back, and then a half step the other way, and then back. So that's pretty cool. You don't hear that too often. And they're alternating between the sorry, not the flat two. I'm sorry, the natural two. The flat two and the natural seven. They're flat between the two of them. But the funny thing is, they're also putting the accidental in where sometimes it's a natural seven and sometimes it is a flat seven. So sometimes you're moving down a half step, sometimes you're moving down a full step. Like in the chorus, they go to the flat seven, as opposed to in the main riff and in the verse where they only move the half step down to the natural seven. So it's interesting. They're doing some interesting things. And not only that, but they're playing around with tempo. They've, pumped on the brakes and slowed down, and not going to like a halftime, but actually slowing the tempo down. And then they've sped it back up again. That's interesting. That's something you don't hear too often in songs, especially mid-phrase. It sounds good. Like the song does sound good. I like what the song is doing. I like where the song is going. All I'm saying is this could have been just an audio track. This could have been a studio recording. Well, I mean, it is a studio recording, but instead of having a live show here in front of us, they could have just put, the album cover artwork in. It would have been just as effective. So, yeah, unfortunately, I can't take the video into account here. It's clearly been edited. It's clearly been pasted together. I don't know. Maybe I can use it. I'll have to keep watching it. Maybe I can use it. I'm not 100% sure yet. So time will tell. Anyway, let's get back into this. Let's see where we go from here. And now they pump the live sound back in. Yeah, but you heard that little break, right? So there's going to be, when the song stops, there's going to be dead silence. Even though you see the hands going up in the air and you can see people cheering automatically, but they won't pipe it in for like almost a full second after it stops. And then it fades. That's my favorite part. The live sound fades in. Oh my God. The fade in. they should have done the fade in while the band was finishing up. You know, while the band was still playing, they should have started the fade in so that when the band actually stopped the song, when the song ended, they had the crowd noise already at, like, I don't know, probably about 60 to 70%, somewhere in there, and then, you know, let it swell from there. But they did it from a dead stop. Wow. Okay. There's a lot to take in here. There's a lot to think about here. I'm going to be honest with you, folks. I have no idea. I know we're going to be in the positives. I know that. We're going to be at the very worst score I can see this getting is a 5.0. Okay? That's the worst thing I can see. It's not going to go under 5. So we're going to be in the positives no matter what. I just don't know where in the positives we're going to be. I don't think we're going to be in the 5s. I don't see that happening. We could be in the 6s, maybe. We could be in the 7s. 8s are possible. I don't know though. I don't, like, off the top of my head, I don't see 8s. I see 6s or 7s, honestly. But then again, I could be wrong. I gotta really think about this, put everything into perspective, take everything I can into account. So 8s are possible. 8s are possible. 9s, no. There's no way this is gonna get a 9. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Let me get my thoughts together. Let me really think about this, and I'll see you in the review, and we'll talk about it. Well, there you go, folks. That was HAGANE with a tune called Kagome. This was a request from Arthur Ogus, and this was actually Arthur's prioritized request for the month of November for being a silver tier member on the Patreon page. So there you go, Arthur. Hope you enjoyed the show. Okay. I have a score, and I came up with the score after taking everything into consideration. I weighed the pros and cons of what to include, what not to include, and this is the score I came up with, and this seems to me to be A, the most fair, and B, make the most sense. So I know people are going to agree with me, and I know people are going to disagree with me, but at the end of the day, this is what I came up with, and I will explain everything as far as how I came up with the score. All right? So let's start with the score, and we'll go from there. On a scale of 1 to 10, I am going to give that a 7.4. Yep, 7.4. I feel good about that score. Let me tell you why.
Why?
Okay. First things first, a 7.4. What does that mean? Well, a 7.4 would translate to a really good skill rating because overall, I think this was a really good song. It would also get 4 to 5 stars and a B+ letter grade. So there you go. 7.4, really good skill rating, 4 to 5 stars, and a B as in boy, B+ letter grade. Now, how did I come up with that score? So glad you asked. The question that's on everyone's mind probably, did I take the live show into account? My answer is no, I did not. There were too many variables, that there were too many things that stuck out as being extremely, number one, very, very post-edited. The fact that there was no live audio. If what we had heard was live audio, them playing the song live, that would be one thing. Okay, that would be a completely different story because at least the audio and the video would have been from the exact same thing. It would have been from the exact same shot. It would have been from the exact same source. Okay, I can't take that into account, number one, for that reason alone. Number two, there were a lot of elements in that video that just screamed that not everything was as it seems. There were a lot of quick edits, a lot of quick snapshots, a lot of dramatic quick zooms, and like very Sam Raimi style, like from the movie The Quick and the Dead. You know, like when you had the duel scene, you would always have those, you know, snap zooms, you know, those quick, you know, zip, you know, panning, you know, those quick dramatic zooms that only lasted for like a second, right? There's two things that accomplishes. Number one, it adds dramaticism, okay? It adds a definite sense of dramaticism to that particular second, that particular shot, especially when they're done rapidly, one after the other. It creates a very strong sense of dramaticism, really intensifies the anticipation. So I get that, and it's a very effective tool for that. The other thing it does, and this is the off-putting part, it disorients. It confuses the viewer, and it's done that way by design. When you do those quick snapping shots, you don't know where those shots are from. They could be from completely other songs, and because they're done so rapidly, so quickly, you don't have time to see the shot and establish. It looks like she's playing the song. It looks like, you know, she's, you know, singing that part. The drummer looks like she's playing that rhythmic pattern. It looks like it. Or if it goes longer than a second, it could also work backwards. Wait a minute, hold on. That doesn't look like she's playing the same riff as what we're hearing. But because it's done so rapidly, so quickly, we don't have a chance. We really don't. We don't have a chance to see if it correlates between what we see and what we hear. It doesn't line up necessarily because we can't tell if it lines up. It's done so fast. It's a distraction technique, and it's a very effective one. That was done quite a bit in the editing. So I can't say with 100% certainty that what we saw was everything that we saw was from that one song. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Maybe they took shots from the second chorus and put them over the first chorus. You know, we don't know. We have no clue because it is a heavily post-produced music video. It's not just multiple camera angles all working in sync with each other and doing one consecutive shot. It's not that. So I cannot take the live performance into account as much as I would like to. And believe me, I would like to. But I just can't do it. I not in good conscience. So no, the video did not help. The video was treated as a music video. Okay? So unfortunately, we can't utilize that. So this 7.4 is really just for the song. Now let's talk about the song. I like it. I like the pacing. I like the direction, the energy, and the drive of the song. I like the heaviness of it, especially in the main riff. It lightened up in the chorus, which was kind of to be expected. That's kind of a calling card of HAGANE. Their main riff and their verses are a little thicker, a little heavier, a little more complex. And then when they get to the verses, not the verses, they get out of the verses and they get into the choruses, everything lightens up. Everything gets a little bit happier. Everything gets a little more positive. Everything gets a little more lighthearted. Everything gets a little more major oriented instead of minor oriented. That's very much a calling card of HAGANE's style from what I've heard from them on the channel. That seems to be a recurring theme. So good for them. I'm glad they're staying true to themselves. I'm glad they're staying true to their brand and what they've established as far as what works for them. I gotta say though, and don't get me wrong, the chorus was very well done. It did the job. It did the deed. It's the hook of the song for most people. But if I'm being 100% honest though, folks, I gotta tell you, the hook for me, okay, I'm not saying this is the way it is for everybody, but for the verse for me was the hook. I loved the verse. That movement of half step, starting on the root, moving up to the flat 2, going back to the root, moving down to the natural 7, back up to the root, to the flat 2, back down to the root, to the natural 7. I like that. It's different. It's not something that you hear every day in every song that's out there on the radio. You don't hear those type of progressions very often. I like what it did, and I like how when they did get to, I believe it was the chorus, they switched from going natural 7 to going to the flat 7, a full step integer, just to kind of switch things up, and throw us for a loop again. I liked it. I definitely felt it was very effective. But getting back to the verse, the main reason it hooked me, not just the half step integers, but also the Phrygian? I think it's Phrygian. The natural. So you got the root to the flat 2 to the major 3 to the 4. That type of Hindu scale style. Sometimes people equate that up to an Egyptian feel. Okay, well I am not disagreeing with that whatsoever. A lot of Egyptian style songs follow a Phrygian scale, so I can certainly see the direction on that, and I can see why people would interpret it as being an Egyptian style. It fits, very customary. I like that. I like the fact that the verse followed that, especially in the vocalization. The melodic line that the lead vocalist was singing followed that to a T. The harmonies, I like the usage of the harmonies. I do feel like the harmonies were slightly overused. I like them, don't get me wrong. I think they sounded really good, but when you use them throughout the entire verse, you harmonize every melodic line through the entire verse, and then you go into the chorus and there are harmonies there as well. You're literally harmonizing almost the entire song. I'm sorry, but the harmonies are going to end up losing their shine. They're gonna end up losing the uniqueness and the specialtiness of it. And it's kind of a shame. I really wish they had laid off on the harmonies a bit. Maybe so in the verse you have 4 lines, right? So in the first 2 lines, leave them out in the verses. On the 3rd line, bring them in. On the 4th line, bring them out. I know you're going, you just took 3 of the 4 harmonic lines out of the verses. Why would you do that? Because you're going to save them for the choruses. When you get to the chorus, we're going to invert that. Line 1, line 2 with harmonies. Line 3, no harmonies. Get to line 4, bring the harmonies back again. So you do the inverse of what you do in the verse. And I think that would be very effective. You'll cut the harmony usage by half, but you'll still strategically place the harmonies in places where they will have the most impact. I think that would have been a far better approach. As far as the instrumentation goes, I have no complaints about the instrumentation. Guitar, bass, drums, all sounded really clean. Okay. Now, obviously, it's a studio recording, so it's going to be, post edited and punched in, and take 37. However many takes it does take to get what you're going to get. But it still sounded good. It still sounded very well done. Very, very accurate playing and articulate playing. Especially when they did their unison runs, when guitar and bass were, following each other and playing the exact same notes at the exact same time. You had those syncopated unison runs. It sounded really nice, really tight, really clean. The last thing was the usage of changing in tempo. Mid-phrase, they slowed down the tempo. And they stayed there for a little bit, and then they brought it back up again. it wasn't a slow deceleration or a slow acceleration. It moved down pretty quickly, but it wasn't instantaneous. It wasn't up here and then just suddenly dropped down to here. No, there was a definite slope. It was a steep slope. You know, the deceleration happened quickly, but it wasn't instantaneous. Same thing with the acceleration out of it. When they accelerated back up to their base tempo, it was the same thing. It wasn't instantaneous. It didn't just jump. There was a incline, but it was a steep incline. I thought that was really cool. I thought that was really well done. Very creative. Again, something you don't hear very often with a lot of bands. So it was nice. It added an additional layer of depth to the song. So taking everything into account, this is how I ended up at a 7.4. Okay. Remember, that 7.4 is for the song only. It's for the song alone, because I am not taking the visual aspects of this video into account at all. And I already explained why, so I'm not going to repeat myself. But 7.4, yeah, I feel good about that score for the song. And that's where we're going to stay. So let's wrap everything up here in a nice shiny bow, shall we? We have a 7.4, which is a really good skill rating, 4 and a 5 stars, and a B as in boy, B+ letter grade. Take your pick, I don't care, whichever one of those floats your boat. Final word, final score, I have spoken. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Reactions, Reviews, and Rants. Hopefully you all enjoyed the show. Hopefully I was able to entertain you. If I was able to put a smile on your face and brighten your day, I did my job, and I'm so glad I could do it. If you guys feel like joining the fan base, go ahead and click on that button down there. If you guys want to like the video, go ahead and like the video. If you guys want to ring the bell, go ahead and ring the bell. It honestly doesn't make any difference at all to me, but if you guys feel like doing these things, well then by all means, feel free to do so. Well, that's going to do it for the night, folks. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, this is David Heretic signing off, reminding you to stay fabulous and support each other. Later. Peace.